the water's fine, homie, jump into the deep end. Sow it, you will reap it. We talking how to start it, how to grow it, how to keep it. Take a deep breath. You are now rocking with Founder Secrets.
Hello, everybody. We got Irina today from Vaunt. Hi, Irina. How are you?
Hi, I'm very good. Excited to see you again.
Always good to see. We're just talking that we have a lot of Romanian entrepreneurs on the pod, and Irina is one of those that came to New York. So I'm excited to share her vision for how she's taken over the world, the real estate world. So, well, first, our icebreaker that we always do is today is going to be what's an item near you that maybe you can show that brings you a lot of joy. Taylor, do you have one in mind?
I'm looking around. Yes, I do actually. SodaStream.
Oh, you don't say.
There you go. The SodaStream. I think that the cheap SodaStreams are not nearly as good as there's one called eToro or eZoro. It's the electronic one, the one you have to plug in the wall. And that was a total game changer because by plugging it in, I just push a button and then it does all the work. And it's like magic. I love it. I love like replacing the little canisters, the CO2 canisters. I think it's a great product. Highly recommend because we had an old SodaStream before and I thought, what's all the hype about? How did this company get bought for $100 million? And then we got this one, like the electronic one. And I was like, it's amazing. Because we were buying all this sparkling water. It was so wasteful. There was cans everywhere. And so I love it. It's a great product. My wife is no longer at PepsiCo. It's a PepsiCo product. But it's the only PepsiCo product that I think we liked. Bobby, what about you?
Let's see. Well, I guess I go with the wireless charger. Big fan of the wireless charger here. I feel like that changed my life. Not having to use cords to plug in things to charge. I was gives me so much joy every day. It's just it's charged without any cable going. It's almost like magic. If you told somebody 100 years ago that electricity is just gonna somehow invisibly go from one thing to another, they wouldn't even believe it. Irina?
I have a Stanley Cup. I don't want to say I've been spending too much on TikTok, but I saw this huge ass tumbler, and I saw somebody, they had their car caught on fire, and the only thing that was standing in the car was this Stanley Cup. And since I've got it, I've been drinking a lot more water, staying more hydrated. It brings me a lot of joy. I take it to working out, on commute, at the office. And it's very sturdy. It has a lifetime guarantee. So if anything breaks, I can get a new one, which is amazing.
That's awesome. I have a Yeti also here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Which I remember the stats for these things are always a monster truck could run over it and you could still drink water out of it.
Yeah.
Which you never end up in those situations. But funny enough, I did one time because I was on the Brooklyn Bridge biking and it somehow slipped out of the backpack and it rolled on the Brooklyn Bridge off to the side and it literally fell off the Brooklyn Bridge. But it's now where the water is a little further when it's already on land, on some concrete construction site. So I went there, biked all the way down, went through the fence, got into the construction site. I was like, all right, let's see. And it did not survive the fall from the Brooklyn Bridge. So just, I don't know who's testing these things. All right.
Wait, was it just shattered?
Well, I guess it was the cap. The cap was just completely shattered. Moving on to Vaunt Market. Do you call it Vaunt?
Yes.
VAUNT, or do you go by Vaunt Market?
No, it's Vaunt. The Vaunt Market is just an extension of the product, but the product is Vaunt.
Tell us, why does it exist? Why did you build this beautiful company?
When we did a custom ERP for a residential developer, and then we realized there was a huge gap in the market for software products to solve this thing in the real estate space. Usually in this, let's say, traditional sector, people still deal with Excels. From there, we started building Vaunt, which was at the time product to help them streamline their sales process. But while we were looking at the sales process, we realized there are multiple people involved who have a lot of problems. Like the buyers, investors do have problems with access to private credit, liquidity when they do investments into the real estate. They don't know how much they need to be involved. And this is how we got to this huge ecosystem where we call it an ecosystem to basically streamline sales in the residential space, wherever you are.
The software is for the real estate owners.
Let's say it's like a two-sided marketplace. It's a SaaS-enabled marketplace, actually. It's for residential developers and their sales team, and the buyers, who can be investors or buyers who are looking for good deals in the market and they want to purchase, but here's a catch, abroad. So basically, you're able to do these kinds of deals. If you're in New York and let's say you want to purchase a property in Portugal, you don't need to fly out. You can access Vaunt. We match you with the right property. We help you with access to private credit. We streamline the process for you with documents, everything that you need. So you just like buy it from front of your computer.
So you started because you saw there was an opportunity to bring investors to the real estate developers. Is that right?
Yes. When we first built out the developers, we looked at the stats and we realized that a percentage of the buyers were foreign people. And we were like, could we increase that number and do it in a easier manner for them?
Gotcha. So the real estate was initially in Romania, but the investors were from outside Romania. Now it's expanded to be global.
Exactly.
So I guess I'm wondering, how did you get to these people who buy real estate? I assume are like high net worth individuals. They're just like bathing in money every day. So how do you get in touch with these people? Like, how did you get? Yeah, how are you able to get those customers?
It's funny that you say that. That is the perception around real estate, but the angle we're bringing to the market is starting with lower entry barrier properties. So let's say starting from 100 to 150K, to give you a sense of the pricing. And the way we acquire customers at this point is through social media. So we started doing ads, we're even trying to run ads right now on Reddit to give you a sense of it. We tried multiple channels, and we're also going to do some events and some partnerships. But at this point, we're acquiring customers on our waiting list through social media.
Are the Reddit ads working?
Yeah, because there are a lot of communities there, and I would recommend this for founders. You would see on Reddit, there are communities tailored around certain types of things. In our case, investments, real estate investments, fire movement, and getting to 1 million in, let's say, net worth. And these are the types of communities you want to make yourself known.
What did you call it? Fire movement?
Yes.
What's fire movement?
A fire movement is a financial movement. That means financial independence, retire early.
It's got nothing to do with an actual fire. That's confusing.
No.
I thought it was like the fireman retirement.
It's the fireman movement.
Yeah, interesting. Financial independence, retire early.
Yes.
It's almost like that's interesting. Never heard of that. Okay, so then like Wall Street bets. Honestly, I don't go to Reddit much, but I have watched that GameStop movie, which is amazing. So like the Wall Street bets, people are like, oh, we should do money, and then like you see an ad for like, hey, you can invest in Portugal, like boom, and they come and invest in the real estate they own in Portugal. It's not like a timeshare. Like you don't own that. Like you don't just like, you get to like then use it, rent it out, or is it more like investing in a stock?
So our business model is you own the property, we rent it out for you. We suggest a hold period, which is usually around 2.5 years. Then we help you sell it, and you gain from appreciation and rental.
You make it sound very easy. I always thought real estate was like really, really complicated, but you make it sound like, oh, you just do this and then it's done. Yeah, exactly.
But this is how we wanted to make it, like make it easier for you not to spend a lot of time around it, and just sit back, relax, and make money. Because even with the fire movement, it's like a lifestyle some people follow to become financially independent. So basically, you're trying to multiply your streams of income so you have enough cash if you would like to retire earlier than 65.
Yeah, what's the pitch to a fire movement person? So if they have $500,000 that they want to invest, walk me through the pitch to someone like that.
Firstly, what we do in general, and not just like fire, because we even have high net worth individuals who, depending on the number you're willing to invest, you get better deals and better appreciation and some things you could do with your properties. But the idea is how fast Do you want access to liquidity? This is the first question, because this is how we match you. Our system matches you with the right property. Because for people who are willing to wait a bit more, we can recommend other types of investments, and depends how fast you want to make your money back and you want to gain from it. We'll show you different types of properties. So this is the question we're starting with. And after that, it's like, okay, because this is the type of liquidity you have in 2.5 years or 4 years, this is how much you would get based on this type of property, how much you would get back. This is how you would gain from appreciation. And there is a simple math calculation and show you how much money you could make. Generally, it's up to like 30 to 40% to give you a sense of it. But depending on the type of investment you do, you could gain even more than that, depending on how much money you're willing to invest.
Per year?
30 to 40% in the 2.5 years.
10 to 15% a year, something like that?
Yes, and depending on the country, without taking in consideration the rental. But that depends on basically what's your expectation around the liquidity.
No, I thought it was really interesting is on social media, always thought, you target to buy things that are lower price point, something that doesn't cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it seems like you have been able to target people. How do you do that? Do you look at like, oh, here's a 55-year-old on a yacht, this would be a good guy to target for real estate investment? Or how do you know what I mean? How do you do that?
You're referring to how I'm thinking about the marketing part?
Yeah, how do you target, like, in social media land? I assume, very few of those people have that the ability to invest. And then how do you are able to target so specifically the people who are investors?
Okay, so basically what I recommend everybody to do when you do ads for whatever type of business you have is to look, especially in US, you take the US map and you section it, because you have specific types of approaches for depending on the area you're based in. You select the area, they give you a estimated audience, and then you think about your ideal customer persona. And depending on the medium you're targeting, you have different types of ways to target them. For instance, on LinkedIn, you can target based on a job title. And we targeted people who could be partners, like let's say investment analysts, people who work in banking, people who do investment, people who work in real estate as well, like developers and upper management in the sales process. This is one part of the LinkedIn. On Reddit, you can select different communities. So basically targeting lookalike communities, and there are types of communities on Reddit you can target. And on social media, like on Facebook, on Instagram, you can target there by interests. And what is interesting there, and a hack I've been using, especially to target our early customers on the developer side, because they weren't as present on LinkedIn, we thought about the brands they like, what their lifestyle looks like, what kinds of brands they're looking to buy, what type of movies they go to, what type of locations they check in. And this is how we created separately. So for each type of medium, I would recommend a different type of strategy to niche down your audience.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, like Laura Piana and like brands like that. Okay.
Laura Piana.
Well, look, it's well, if you don't know, clearly you're not a target. So don't worry about it.
That's why I'm not getting these ads.
You're getting the all right. So I want to ask, okay, so if you have this view into real estate, I'm wondering, like, where's the best place to buy real estate right now? I had to ask because you're saying, this 30-40% return. I assume some countries are blowing up right now more than others. Is it a Portugal or of course, like sort of like low risk? I'm not,
Absolutely. So my question for you, it's like, what is your expectation of liquidity? Would you be able to hold between 2 to 4 years, or would you wait longer? What's your expectation?
Yeah, longer. I guess 5-10 years.
Okay. Then we could start with like Portugal, Spain, and Italy. Spain has been on the rise since 2013. Another part that I could also recommend, based on the research that we have, it's Slovenia. Croatia has been going up like crazy. And I would say Romania, not just because I'm biased, but because there is an uptick in rentals. So this is the base business model we're targeting. But more than that, on our website, on Vaunt Market resources, we did an ebook for whole Europe. So you are basically able to see the data of appreciation, rental, and how it's been going the past year and the past 10 years or so. So definitely check it out.
So you're renting. So somebody buys through you in Croatia, then they buy a flat, and then you're renting it out, and you take a cut. Like, what's your business model? You're a middleman, basically.
Let's say the middleman, and we don't take. So let's say you start with the process of buying from the developer. We don't charge you. We take a cut from the deal, but from the developer, we take 0.5 to 1%. So it's much lower than what you would typically get through other people. And also on the rental part, we do take a part of the management fee, because somebody needs to manage the property to make sure it's rented out, that there isn't any problems with the renters, and do the contract and everything. And that's a small fee that we carry.
I'm just looking at these properties. It's really beautiful. The properties that you guys have. It's like it's very nice. So you mentioned you have a map that shows you kind of the different countries that are hot or not. Is that what you said?
Yes, we do have that on our ebook. So we give you even a simulation of how an investment will look like, and to give you, we have a use case in the ebook where we showcase. We don't give the name of the person who did that, but gives you like appreciation number and how much he got out of it. Our goal in general is to match you with properties that fit the type of expectation around liquidity that you have. So it's a different business model from what other services are doing, like timeshare, and you go and live there. At this point, it's just
Right.
like for investment.
Very cool. Okay, so then what, I guess you moved to New York. What I'm wondering, what made you do that, and do you think it's like helpful for the business to be in New York versus Europe?
Yeah, absolutely. So, firstly, to everybody who's watching, if you plan on building a startup, you need to pick a good spot for yourself. It's either, in my opinion, LA, Silicon Valley, or New York, depending on what type of business you're building, especially if you're building into like finance, investment. I think New York is the place to be. It's definitely been very helpful. Why? Because you meet a lot of investors in the space. You meet a lot of your customers just by walking, which cuts down the cost of acquisition. It's good to be surrounded by people who are doing similar things. And in Europe, the ecosystem, it's still starting. And from what I talked to other founders at seed and series A, they end up in US. So why not start everything from here and just like go global?
It's like, if you're gonna end up here anyway when you raise more money, like, why don't you just start here from the get go?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? I love it. So speaking of fundraising, I guess how do you think through fundraising? Especially in this real estate. Like, I think of Adam Newman, the WeWork founder, that, like, if you saw the movie with like Jamie Dimon, and he was like, "Oh, the real estate market's bigger than any other market," or stuff. It's like just so huge, and so he's able to sell this big vision. But I think a lot of people kind of are a little more skeptical now about the startups with what happened there. So I'm wondering, how do you think through your own fundraising in the space you're in?
Firstly, I would like to start by saying we're a software company. We don't own the properties. We've streamlined the whole thing through a tech platform. So as we scale, our cost doesn't go up. We reinvest the money just to acquire customers and make the platform better. But we don't own the property. So that's a different thing from WeWork, where they actually owned real estate. Our plan right now and probably for the future is not to touch the properties. So we're not interested in actually owning portfolio. And we did this firstly because we wanted to ensure safety for our client. I want you to own the property and feel safe with it, not to worry that we own it. So if something bad happens, let's say, you still own your property. It's not ours, it's yours, which is great. It gives you safety. And more than that, I don't think it's wise for us to own physical products. We are a tech company, and this is how we plan on scaling. The real estate market is a huge opportunity. It's not just residential; like you have logistics, commercial, and a lot of other things. What we're doing is we're breaking into a traditional market using the tech component. So I'm not worried about this because we're on the path to growth. Like I told you, just came here to close a couple of more deals. And in terms of the fundraising space, I think this is the first thing for us that we need to show that we're a tech product. We don't own property. It's the same. I would say it's a parallel between us and the healthcare, because even in health tech, you have this thing where you can be a software for the health tech industry where you can be regulated, which can make the fundraising process much slower. Or when you are, let's say, a drug and you need FDA approvals, which slows down the process of fundraising. Or you can be a person that just supports the industry through tech and you don't have specific regulation that you're worried about. And an investor, once they understand this thing, they're much like, okay, so you're a tech, how do you plan on scaling or capturing the market? What is that looking like for you? I think it's all about understanding the business and what parts of the business to touch or not.
How do you get the properties?
Well, we go to the developer and we sell them the sales product. So basically, it's like you would say it's between a CRM and an ERP. It's still not to an ERP level, and they use that internally to organize their sales process so we have access to their portfolio. So our sales pitch is like we go to a developer and ask them, "Are you currently using something? Here's how we bring all the data together, and more than that, we give you a platform where you can launch your product to the international market. Are you interested in that?" And they're like, yeah, let me.
And it's free for them until you sell a property.
Yes, at this point, yes.
So it's like like HubSpot or Apollo or Salesforce for the real estate developers that then adds this customer acquisition piece.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do have for the product on the sales side, they do pay a monthly fee. So we have a SaaS with the marketplace component. The marketplace is free for them at this point.
Awesome. Well, cool. What advice, I guess, do you have for other entrepreneurs besides move to America, New York, LA, which
Great advice.
Taylor did? Great advice. He just moved to LA, so notice Kentucky wasn't on her list.
Yeah, Kentucky was not. Yeah, Europe that doesn't think highly of Kentucky, I don't think.
I actually recommended those three places because I think it's a good place to start out. There's a lot of people and you need a lot of people to talk to. And that would be my recommendation. Move to a place where there's business for you. So figure out where's that place with a lot of people with business and start talking to you, to your customers, basically, your potential customers, and try to validate your idea before building out something and go to market. It's the classical, but it's so true.
No, totally. Well, cool. So then let's move on to the next and last section, which is the life hack. Is there a life hack that you recently maybe discovered that's helped you in some way? Go ahead.
So I've had an Apple Watch for years. I love it, but the battery life's terrible. Like the battery life is really just one day. And I wanted the Ultra, which is the larger one. And, it's got a bigger screen. All those things are great. It's more durable. But the thing that was shocking to me is how much better the bigger battery makes the user experience because it moves it from really 1 day to not quite 2 days, but like 1.9 days, let's call it, battery life. And that's completely changed. It sounds so silly, but it's completely changed how I use the Apple Watch, because before I would regularly run out of juice, but now, I can just charge it. Here's the scenario. So it has 60% battery left with the original Apple Watch. It has 60% battery left, and then I take a shower. Well, the maximum it can get to is 100, right? Which is really just 14 hours, 18 hours. But with the Ultra, I can do the same thing, but now I can charge much more. So I can it just creates a much better UX to where I'm not frustrated with how often it's dying, which I think is people's big frustration with the Apple Watch. And it is more expensive, but I love it. I also love the bigger screen. It's like brighter. Yeah, just when people talk about the Apple Watch, I specifically want to recommend the Ultra. It is a lot bigger though. So, if you don't have big wrists or hands, it's kind of a lot, I think. Like, I'm not sure my wife would want it, but it's great. Recommend.
Is it also a lot more expensive? Twice
Yeah.
as much? Yeah,
it is twice as much. And it also comes with a cell phone chip, which I don't use. It comes with LTE or a cell chip. It's $7.99, but you can get them refurbished.
It seems like that's the biggest win, is you could go out without using your phone. Why don't you do that?
Yeah, maybe I should. You know what? I'm gonna sign up today. I'm gonna get
Well, you have to pay more. I thought you already had.
Yeah, you have to pay more. That's why. That's why I don't do it.
Oh.
It's it's another $10 a month or $20 a month or something. What about you, Flavio?
Oh man! All right, let's go, Irina. Do you have one?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because it's, I guess, a bit more technical. So I bought a subscription to ChatGPT, and I built a database with recommendations from my nutritionist to figure out meals, because I hate choosing what I want to eat. And I gave them all the database with the information. And when I ask, hey, what should I eat? I just basically have a trained LLM that tells me what to eat. And it's made my life so much better. And it's so much easier.
Oh, you made it, or is it an app or somebody else's tool?
No, you can train your own LLM. Like if you buy a subscription, you can upload your own database of things, and it learns through that database, and then you can ask it questions and it tells it back to you. Probably you could do more things, but this is how I've been using it for myself, because I don't like to waste time thinking about what I want to eat.
So it's ChatGPT underneath?
Yes.
Or is it? And it just learned. You tell it what you like to eat, and then eventually just tells you.
Yeah, I fitted a database of the rules I've been given and what I should consider in terms of portion size and everything, and it tells me and gives me recipes and everything.
Oh, it gives you the recipe and everything.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Very cool. I have a newsletter that is called Superhuman AI.
Okay.
So if you want, because there's all these AI things happening, and I can't keep up with all of them. There's one newsletter that makes it very simple and clear, and it's a daily newsletter, and it's I think the website is joinsuperhuman.ai. It's just a free newsletter that kind of gives you the highlights and then some examples of cool AI things that people are doing with text, or it just feels like it gives you 5 tools every day that are AI related. So that way it feels like I'm still aware of what's happening without feeling FOMO in the AI world.
I just signed up. Is this related to the Superhuman email product?
I don't think so.
No, although I do use that too, but separate thing. I think it's just a guy that quit his job to do this.
It has a green logo.
Yes.
Okay.
You use it?
Yeah, I think I am subscribed to it.
That's amazing. Yeah, it blew up.
They have 600,000 readers. How much the ads are.
Well, cool. All right. Well, any last thoughts or words of wisdom from you, Irina, for our audience? How would people reach you if they want to buy some real estate?
Well, you can enter our website. It's vauntmarket.com. And also you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. On Twitter, I am Raw Scientist. I'm not Irina. That's
Raw scientist.
yes, that's let's say my pen name, and you can find me
Nice.
there at all times. Happy to connect if you'd like to be on Tech Twitter. And what can I say? Onward and upward. Never give up. and,
Ah.
and just keep building.
Man, that's beautiful. Well, thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for rocking with the homies. Taylor, Trusty, and Flavio. Seize the day, own it. Until next time, hold it down, hold it down. Hey.